They voted for their own demise. Shalom. First and foremost, as always, before I begin this exhortation, I'd like to give all praise, glory, and honor to the true, holy, and powerful names of the Heavenly Father and His beloved Son, the Most High Power of Israel, whom this world ignorantly calls God and JC, or Jesus Christ. Real names in the Paleo Hebrew are the Lashawan Kodash, which means the Holy Tongue. It's Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shai Bahashim, Racha HaKodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone that do rule and teach well with the correct doctrines and exhortations of the heavenly scriptures. Peace and salutations to you, hopeful elect Akim brothers that's out there doing this work in all truth, faith, sincerity, and fear of Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shai. And as well, you few sincere aqua for our sisters that come across these videos. Shalom. All right, just want to do a quick exhortation. Lord willing, it's edifying to feed you, hopeful elect Aki and aqua out there. Again, the title is They Voted for Their Own Demise. All right, and I may change the title, depends. And pretty much it stems off this video clip that I have, that I want to share, and in which you have the farmers pretty much looking sad, man, down bad, because the majority of their workforce has been deported ever since they voted Trump into office. And make no mistakes about it, the vast majority of these farmers voted for Trump. All right, they believe the lie that this rich man, this rich entrepreneur, all right, who never really partook in politics like that, all right, was going to fight for their behalf, for the average working man's behalf. Okay, but it couldn't have been any further from the truth. All right, Trump, he campaigned on, MAGA, Make America Great Again. He gonna be all for the farmers, and he gonna uplift them and make sure they good, right? But ever since he took office, he's done nothing but tear them down. Okay, for example, with the tariffs, okay, that he put on, China imports, in which raising the price that China has to pay, to import product from the U.S., leads to the consumer paying more. It ultimately, them tariffs, man, it ultimately affects, these farmers, because now China don't want to buy products from the U.S., and not just China, Trump putting tariffs all over the place, man. All right, and just like any other U.S. President or politician, all right, they say one thing, they campaign on one thing, promising the people, better, all right, but then when they get in office, they do the bidding of their donors, all right, and come to find out, APAC, was a Jewish, donation company, all right, a private, private banking, really, the wicked elite, behind the scenes, funding these different politicians and placing them in the office, man, all right, to do their bidding, all right, so pretty much they're all controlled and puppets, all right, and, Trump bailing out Argentina, giving them 40 billion, okay, meanwhile, the farmers here in America is suffering, all right, and he said, so pretty much people bought the lie, man, all right, they fell for the trap, all right, and Trump's that cruel lord, man. All right, he going full steam ahead, all right, to bring in his digital system here in the West. Okay, that's what it means about Make America Great Again, to be the top dog in this digital world that we're entering. Okay, which is only gonna go but so far, but everybody's competing for who gonna have the top dog status. All right, America trying to catch up to China and really want to surpass China, right? But things gonna have to get a whole lot worse in terms of chaos in order to bring in the order that they want. All right, okay. And a lot of these maggers, they're now regretting their decision by voting him in office, man. The regret is real. Okay, me and a few other brothers here in Wisconsin, we did a lesson on that topic not too long ago, man. All right, the MAGA regret is very, very real. Okay, and we don't feel sorry for you guys, man. Okay, this is what y'all voted for. Here it is. The video I'm gonna play, is pertaining to the migrant situation, how the whole deportation of so-called illegal aliens, which America has been using illegals for the longest, man. All right, to get cheap labor, all right, high production at a cheaper cost, all right, under the radar. They're paying them under the table, all right. Since they're illegal, then they can kind of get over in that regard, okay. And so they've been taking advantage of that. But here it is, you voted for a man that told you off the rip that he was going to do mass deportation, all right, and he was going to go. But see, that's where the lie was at too, because he said he was going to go for the gangsters, the so-called MS-13 gang members from Venezuela in these prisons that he said then came over here, all right, which he been just deporting the average citizen. He going after actual American citizens getting harassed by ICE, okay, and a lot of those migrants that was working those jobs, they taking them out of the picture, and now these farm owners, all right, and they're not able to keep up like they used to, because now you can't hire the average American citizen because they want higher wages. You can't get cheap labor now. Okay, now these farmers, I'm gonna let the video speak for itself. All right, because it's hilarious to me, man. Like these farmers, they crying, they all suicidal, they bugging out, they don't know what to do. All right, but here it is, y'all voted for this man. And right now you begging for him to save you, but look, he got to do the will of the elite, okay, which is to crash this system here in the West, all right, to usher in a digital, in place of a digital beast system, all right, that's going to encompass and consume the whole world, all right, the hour of temptation that's going to come to try the whole world and them that dwell upon earth, Revelation 3rd chapter, okay, that's the times we're living in, okay, but anyway, without further ado, let's just play that, I got a few precepts for this lesson, but let's play the video clip first. We'll come back with those precepts. Let's lock it. Not right here. That's not it.
Back to work, my area, experience that I've had, they ain't too good at what they do.
Keith Smith says most immigration workers left after the law took effect. So this potato farmer hired Americans. Problem is, he says, most show up late, work slower, and are ready to head home after lunch. Some even quit after just one day out in the field.
There's a Hispanic man that works for us, and I say, he's 52, and he'll make anywhere from $70 to $100 a day. I said, if you can keep up with him and do a good job, you can make that. But they're not physically in shape to do it. And, probably not mentally tough enough to do it some of it.
Over on this tomato farm, the story's not much different.
Right. You heard him. He said, the majority of American workers that he's trying to hire, they're not physically fit to do the job, nor are they mentally fit. All right, because they so used to, a certain lifestyle, having more, higher wages, and less labor. So when they go to do the job, they burn out quicker. All right, they don't have that resilience like the tribes of Israel had, the northern kingdom tribes, all right, like Ephraim and Issachar and Asher, Reuben, so-called blacks and Latinos, Native Americans, okay, had them out there working in the field, but that's just part of Jacob's heritage, man, is to work hard, workhorses, all right, but I believe the symbol for Issachar is the bull, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, so yeah, but here it is. They talking about these immigrants. These it's taking our jobs, and we need to deport them so we can get back to the workforce and hire American again. But here it is. Now that they gone, y'all not stepping in and taking these jobs, all right? Because the truth is, they've been blinded by their racism, man. All right, they've been taught and conditioned and propagandized, all right, to hate Yasharala, man, hate the tribes, okay? Which, it goes back to, Jacob and Esau, that feud, okay? The nations and the wicked Esau, Edomites, they're supposed to, hate us, man. They at that natural enmity against us, all right? Especially, our wicked, evil twin brother Esau, okay? This goes back in antiquity, all right? Ezekiel 35:5, All right, for thy perpetual hatred against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee. Okay, so them hiring Trump, it was all because of their racism, man. All right, now they starting to feel the effect of it, and now they don't want to come in and fill those jobs. But hey, boo hoo. Okay, let's rewind this back a little bit.
And he'll make anywhere from $70 to $100 a day. I said, if you can keep up with him and do a good job, you can make that. But they're not physically in shape to do it. And, probably not mentally tough enough to do it.
Yeah, he was talking about a 50-year-old Spanish man, or so-called Spanish man. All right, of the tribes of the Northern Kingdom. All right, primarily Issachar. All right, and they can, they can be old as hell putting in work. Right, but the average American can't do it, man. They all fat, sloppy. Anyway, sloppy.
Job, you can make that. But they're not physically in shape to do it. And, probably not mentally tough enough to do it, some of them.
Over on this tomato farm, the story's not much different. Brent Smith may be the only exception.
The bending over, and if you're not used to working and kneeling down and bending over and constantly up and down all day long is the grueling part of it. It really is. I mean, other than that, it's not any harder than anything else.
With a 9.9 unemployment rate, Alabama is almost 1% higher than the national average. Tomato farmers say skilled workers can make anywhere from $200 to $300 a day, but unskilled workers make much less. And farmers say many Americans are not physically fit and simply don't work fast enough.
It's just going to take body conditioning, mental conditioning, in order to earn enough money to make it worth a day's work.
He said body conditioning, mental conditioning. All right, who has been more conditioned than the tribes, man? All right, to do hard labor. All right, going all the way back during the time of Egypt, ancient Egypt. All right, when we build up that society. All right, every captivity we've been in under these nations, they had us build up their societies, man. That's partly how these nations have been blessed through the seed of Abraham. Okay, you see. And you remove Israel out of the picture, your society crumbles. All right, and that's one of the major reasons why this society is crumbling. With other factors, of course, but that's a big part of it, man. Okay, so let's get these precepts. Isaiah 19:4. All right, because again, going back to the title of the lesson, they voted for their own demise. It says. Isaiah 19:4 says, and the Egyptians will I give over into the hand of a cruel Lord. All right, we believe that cruel Lord to be DJ Trump. All right, Emperor Nero coming back, reincarnated in this lifetime again. All right, burning down Rome all over again. All right, coming down with great persecution upon the people. All right, cruelly. You see, and the Egyptians, Egypt is synonymous with the word bondage, okay, where the nation of Israel were in captivity. And just like it says in Baruch, I believe the 3rd chapter, behold, we are yet this day in our captivity, where thou hast scattered us for reproach and a curse, So we yet this day in our captivity here in this modern day Egypt, pursuant to Revelation, the 11th chapter. All right, this is spiritually Sodom and Egypt, where also our Lord was crucified. Okay, so the Egyptians, these Americans, all right, will I give over to the hand of a cruel Lord, okay? And they voted for him to be in office, all right? They was, again, they bought into the propaganda, man, all right? That was pushed out, you had them false flag, assassination attempts, okay? They believe that. Propaganda is used to sway the emotions of the people. We'll get that definition in a second, but it says, and a fierce king shall rule over them, saith the Lord of hosts. Okay, it didn't say fierce king might rule over them, maybe rule over them. No, it said shall rule over them. All right, and that's what's happening right now. Okay, and just to get this definition right quick. All right, for the word, I said propaganda, but psyop is the word I was referring to. Psyop meaning, all right, it says psyop short for psychological operations, all right, which is over, operation over your mind, all right, to sway your emotions. Is what it says refers to the use of a planned propaganda and use of physiological tactics to influence the emotions, motives, and reasoning of the target audience. Okay, when Trump was running for re-election, all right, they was doing all type of psyops, all right, to sway to influence and sway the emotions and motives and reasoning of these people, man. All right, which are easily manipulated. All right, and they looked at him. He did that little fist pump after that first assassination attempt, and they just like, oh, they was just wooed by that. All right, they was like, oh, he got to be chosen. He barely made it through. All right, we for sure gonna vote him in office, but it was all a trick. All right, presidents aren't elected; they're selected. All right, by the top wicked elite. It's already set in stone who's gonna be the president, man. All right, they just give you the illusion of having voters' rights. Okay, you can vote Republican or Democrat and this and that. All right, but they two sides of the same coin. They all work in tandem. You see, so these people they was duped. A lot of these farmers was bewitched. Okay, through Esau's psychological operations. See, this devil is very crafty, man. All right, he figured it out. He cracked the code on how to manipulate people's minds. All right, but he can't deceive the Lord's elect. And a lot of people in general in the world is waking up. You know, it says, and in the military context, it is a form of psychological warfare used to demoralize opponents, influence public opinion, and support friendly forces. But the term is also used to describe similar online influence tactics. Okay, you get the point. Okay, so that's what happened, man. All right. Now you got this cruel lord in office, and he's taking away jobs from the people, man. All right, making it harder on y'all. All right, because this is the squeeze that's happening right now. All right, and the squeeze is only going to get tighter. Let's see, I know it's another verse down here that says verse 15. Jumping down, it says, Salakia. Neither shall there be any work for Egypt, which the head or tail, branch or rush may do. Okay? And eventually ain't gonna be no work for nobody in Babylon. Alright, all these government jobs are getting cut. You got AI taking over the workforce. Okay. AI is doing jobs that once before was impossible, but now they a lot of companies is firing en masse, like Amazon, what's some a few other ones. These different warehouse jobs, these different automotive jobs. I've seen videos where I want to do a lesson on it, where you got robots building cars now. Okay, anything that a human can do, man. You got robots. You might have robots take over agriculture. Be out there doing what the tribes was doing. Who knows? All right, but eventually, they cutting everything off, man. All right, they want you to be on a universal basic income where you have to rely on them for the want of all things. Okay, and that's for this, not for the vast majority. All right, they want to get rid of a lot of people, but those unfortunate enough to live in a society like that, that's what they want to set up for the people. Anyway, okay, let's jump to the next precept. Lamentations 4:21. And again, we don't feel sorry for you people, for you Edomites out there, man, for you farmers. Let me see, Lamentations 4:21. It says, "Rejoice and be glad, O daughter of Edom." All right, Edomites, so-called white people. All right, rejoice. All right, y'all supposed to be living it up in these last days, man. All right, you shouldn't. That's a curse. You sitting around worried and frustrated and all that in your own kingdom. All right, as it's dwindling down, and your own elites over you is cutting you out of what's the term? What's the slang term? Crossing you out on a lick, so to speak. He ain't cutting you in. Giving you your fair share. Hey, that's a curse, and that's what's gonna lead to sedition. That's spoken of in Second Ezra, the 15th chapter. All right, there shall be sedition among men. They won't regard their kings or princes, in the course of their actions shall stand in their power. Okay, the people are going to uprise in mass. But guess what? Esau got a counter for that. That's what these troops and all over, that's why Trump got the Insurrection Act ready to be deployed at any moment when that happens. Anyway, that's that order of Abkao. Anyway, so it says, Rejoice, O daughter of Edom, that dwelleth in the land of Uz, for the cup also shall pass through unto thee. Thou shalt be drunken and make thyself naked. Okay, and the cup goes into the curses of the Lord. Pursuant to Psalms, I believe the 75th chapter, in the Lord's hand there is a cup, and the mixture is red. And it says, yea, all the wicked of earth shall wring it out and drink it. I'm roughly paraphrasing it. Okay. He goes into the curses of the Lord, which Esau, he's starting to feel those curses, man. All right. Cursed in the field, cursed shall be thy basket and thy store. All right. That was the curses that we had to undergo. That's the reason why we can't get no stores in our own neighborhoods. All right. We don't get government funding and these business loans to really flourish. All right. And come up out of poverty. All right. But that's starting to happen to these Edomites, man. These farmers. And all across the board. It ain't just the farmers. Okay. It says, verse 22, the punishment of thine iniquity is accomplished, O daughter of Zion. He will no more carry thee away into captivity. He will visit thine iniquity, O daughter of Edom. He will discover thy sins. All right. So Esau Edom is being exposed from the least of them to the greatest of them. Okay. All down the line, man. Hey, you Edomites is gonna receive judgment. Even the ones that's so called good, all right, they fighting on the side of Israel, on the whole Black Lives Matter, whatever. That's not going. Well, some of them could be Jake. All right, we acknowledge that. We ain't saying that every so-called Edomite that appears as an Edomite is an actual Edomite. Okay, we're not saying that because Jake comes in all colors. It ain't a color thing, but the Edomites that the actual Edomites, that's who we speaking against, man. All right, the Lord is discovering their sins, man, and it's judgment time. Right, when you brought the trial and the rap sheet comes out, and afterwards the judgment sets in, man. Anyway, I believe that's it. Nope, one more precept. Genesis 30 and 17. All right, and the very people that they've been deporting, says here, Genesis 30 and 16, and Jacob, no, that ain't it. Verse 17, it says, and the Most High hearkened unto Leah, and she conceived and bare Jacob a fifth son. And Leah said, the Most High have given me hire, all right, because because I have given my maiden to my husband, and she called his name Issachar, all right, because Issachar goes into he is hired. Let's look at that. All right. Yashakar in the Paleo Hebrew. It's saying here there's recompense, but it really means he is hired. I don't know why it's given a different definition here. It says higher wages. Let's look at the word hire real quick. Sakar. It says higher wages, reward, pay, fair. Yeah, so that's part of the trait of Issachar, man. These so-called Mexicans, all right? They work hard, man. You're not gonna really outwork a Mexican, man. All right, it's just in their genetics. All right, they don't get tired like that. They're like robots a lot of times, man. All right, they can work off. They work horses, man. Put it like that. All right, and these Edomites, they can't keep up with that type of natural tenacity and grit that comes with, these the different tribes of Israel, particularly Issachar. Okay, so these farms are sinking, man. They're going under. All right, and it's only going to increase and get worse. All right, and again, man, it's beautiful to behold, like Scripture says. Blessed is the man that liveth to see the fall of his enemies, man. To see these farmers crying and tossing their red hats, they make America great hats. You don't see them wearing it like that no more. All right, because now they like, shit, we voted for this guy, and and he's screwing us. It's another farmer. Hold on, let me. It's another farmer that was crying, man. Pretty much. Hold on, this dude.
Just when I thought Donald Trump could not confoculate this country anymore, every single fucking day he just seems to amaze me with how he is pitting himself against farmers and ranchers. I've been losing hundreds of thousands of dollars on the farming side of my operation, and the only thing keeping me afloat is these goddamn cattle prices. And now he has declared war against the fucking ranchers. First he fucks every single farmer in America, and now he is fucking the rancher. He has made an executive order to where now they're going to round up all of the wild horses and have them slaughtered, and all the ground beef in American supermarkets will be 50% horse meat and 50% beef. And all this is to try to combat and bring down beef prices, which is going to fucking break and ruin every hard-working rancher out there. We should all be appalled. Protect the fucking wild horses. And now they're deforesting to open up more grazing lands. His plan is to have 3 times as many cattle next year. Guys, this is fucking atrocious. When will Trump stop fucking farmers and ranchers? Just when I...
He won't. All right. And you can tell, man, he used to probably have his little red hat, the Make America Great hat on. They ain't wearing it like that no more, man. All right. Then now they ashamed that they voted for Trump. They regret they vote. All right. But hey, it is what it is, man. When you look at the comment board of these videos, that's all people are saying down these comment boards, man. Matter of fact, let's just see something. Yeah, look at that. Who did you vote for? You all voted for this. Look at that. It says, I hate to shock you, Trump doesn't care. 40 billion bailout for Argentina. MAGA make Argentina great again. What did I say? Did I say Argentina at first? Or did I say Argentina? Yeah, I think I did say Argentina. That they gave the money to. It says, we tried to tell you not to vote for him. We tried to tell you guys. See, on and on and on, man. That's all these comments are about, man. Why did you vote for him? We tried to tell you. You see? So, it's only going to get worse from here, man. Because, Trump is in office to do the bidding of the technocrats, all right? In the top wicked elite, man. He's not there for the people, all right? And once again, man, call Allah, Yahweh Shmi Al Shai. All right, this place is crumbling. And it's beautiful to behold, man, because we're almost out of here. Us are the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel. Shalom.